Regardless of how advanced the world of medicine continues to progress, and how readily accessible quality healthcare is to learn for the general public, there are always those stories of unqualified medical practitioners or medical malpractice that float around that makes you question if your life is in the right hands. This story's victim, unfortunately, drew the short end of the straw. In 2012, 88-year-old Ilda Vitor Marciel of Rio de Janeiro suffered a stroke and was admitted to the Santa Casa de Misericordia de Barramansa, a local hospital in the southern part of the city. The stroke left half of her body paralyzed, but despite the poor circulation from the impromptu blood clot, her visiting children noticed an improvement in her mobility, until she died 12 hours later. Her cause of death? Soup. And no, that's not what you think. She did not aspirate or choke on the liquid. She was fed the soup, alright? Albeit through the wrong tube. What I meant by that is, when you are incapable of swallowing per se, like you are a choking risk like Ilda's case is due to her stroke, the hospital inserts a tube down your nose called the nasogastric tube to help carry food and occasionally medicine to your stomach. According to her family, a nursing technician had accidentally injected soup into the catheter that was in her right hand, where medicines were typically injected directly into the vein. As soon as the soup was injected, poor Ilda started beating herself, squirming, and convulsing. Her daughter, who witnessed the entire thing happen, immediately called for a nurse who tried to rectify the mistake and give the elderly woman some medication to calm her down, but unfortunately, Ilda died 12 hours later. The family filed a lawsuit against the hospital, who acknowledges that Ilda was injected with soup by mistake, but for some reason states that was not the cause of her death. There were too many probable causes of death listed on the hospital records, but until they had an official cause of death via autopsy, the Marciel family could do nothing but wait. Now pause here. When I first read this story, I was like, how did the hospital even think otherwise? Me with my minor medical knowledge was like, if you inject air into the veins, then you create an air embolism, which causes a clot. If you inject water, which is more dense than air, into the vein, would you not automatically assume it would cause the same thing? Anyways, it made no sense. Even the injecting makes no sense. It's two completely different needles and extremely unlikely to be mixed up. For feeding tubes, it's a large, non-needled syringe. For IV injections, it's not only a small, needled syringe, but you also have to physically drop the fluid, which chicken soup, as most articles suggest was the culprit. Wouldn't you notice the colors being different? Considering medication is typically either white or more transparent. 30 days later, the autopsy report came out, and the official cause of death was pulmonary embolism, or a blood clot of the lung, which supports the family's claim that the soup injection had killed their mother. Oddly enough, just a month after Ilda's unfortunate death, a similar incident occurred in another clinic in Rio de Janeiro. A student nurse with only 3 days of work experience accidentally injected coffee with milk into a patient's vein when she was supposed to be starting a blood drip. The elder woman, known as Palmerina Perez Ribeiro, 80 years old, died just 4 hours after receiving the injection. The student nurse's defense when interviewed was that the blood drip and the feed drip were right next to each other, and that she had not received the proper training yet. Then why did you decide it would be a good idea to attempt something you had no training in? My bad. Got a bit irritated at the end there. Hope you enjoyed this short story. If you did, please feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe for more unfortunate events. I am trying to update every 2 weeks with a new video. Ciao!